Good morning and welcome to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's only local morning show, giving you exclusive access into people, businesses, and events in our community. We're bringing you the show live daily weekdays at 9:30 with your host, me, Maddie Mustian. Before we dive into today's show, every week we highlight someone, an educator, student, business, or organization from our Greater West Bloomfield community going above and beyond. If you would like to submit an entry for someone, you can scan the QR code on the screen, fill out the Google form with the person's name, their contact information, and reasons why you think they should be recognized for our Person of the Week. Now let's go check out what's going on in our Greater West Bloomfield community. The first event we want to look at is ongoing. This event is perfect if you're looking for something fun to do this winter. Whether you go alone or with friends, the Sylvan Lake Game Nights are a great way to socialize safely with your neighbors and friends. Sylvan Lake Game Nights take place every Wednesday when there is not a Sylvan Lake board meeting in the community center. Game night will start at 5:30 and will go to about 9 p.m. at the community center. They have a ton of games, including euchre and mahjong, but if you want to bring a game, you are welcome to do so. This event is open to all Sylvan Lake residents, and you're also welcome to bring any family and friends that you wish. The next event we want to look at is the West Bloomfield Parks Black Expo. The West Bloomfield Parks has worked diligently with the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force all throughout the month of February to make events to celebrate Black History Month. Their Black Expo will be the last event that they will be holding to celebrate Black History Month. It will be held on Saturday, February 26th at 10 a.m. and will go to 2 p.m. at Orchard Mall. This is a free event that is family friendly. There will be a DJ as well as the West Bloomfield Jazz Band performing at 11 a.m. There will also be some demos and displays highlighting careers, resources, and Black-owned businesses. Some of those businesses that will be there are House of Barbecue, Jewels by Joyce, Authentic Existence, and many more. To register for this event, you can head over to the West Bloomfield Parks website to register. It is almost unbelievably March. We are so crazy excited for March, and this means Fat Tuesday is right around the corner. The West Bloomfield Connect Center at Orchard Mall is hosting a fun morning to celebrate Fat Tuesday. You're invited to drop in anytime between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. to grab a punchki and enjoy Connect with the Connect Center with friends. No registration is necessary, but they do limit the punchki intake to one member. If you have an event you would like us to feature here on the Splash Live, you can send us a message on our social media pages at Civic Center TV and Facebook at Civic Center TV 15. Coming up, I'll be talking with Executive Director for West Bloomfield Parks, Jennifer Tucker. But before that, to celebrate Black History Month, West Bloomfield Parks hosted a Love Yourself Wellness While Black event that brought in experts on wellness. One of those experts was Dr. Michelle Lino, who talked about how to deal with anxiety and make sure your mental health is supported during the year. Let's go check out what Dr. Lino had to say. After joining us for an interview on the Splash Live, Dr. Michelle Lino gave a talk at the Love Yourself Wellness While Black event at Connect about mental health and her tips for keeping ourselves healthy this year.
Self-care is about doing what's needed for you to feel whole and at ease in the moment. And notice I said in the moment because sometimes we think about what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes or what's going to happen in the next 5 years. And what happens when we do that? When we don't have the answers, we become anxious, so we're getting away from self-care. Now, it's okay to plan ahead, but understand that when you're doing that, you can't control what's going to happen next all the time. So you can only manage how you're responding to situations that are currently happening right now. Oftentimes, we think that there's something outside of us that's making us anxious, or there's something that someone else did that's making us anxious. Oftentimes, it's the very thought that we have when we first wake up in the morning. And so part of my self-care recommendation is set your intentions first thing in the morning.
She also gave some advice on dealing with anxiety through her acronym BRAVE.
I came up with this, for me, I came up with this acronym BRAVE. So B is breathe, make sure you remember, you can come up with your own. But B is breathe, make sure you're breathing in the moment. A lot of times when we become anxious, we hold our breaths because we're waiting for the next trauma to happen. The next one is reflect what's going on around you right now. Because oftentimes what you're afraid of and what you're imagining is not happening in that moment. You're anticipating a worst case scenario, but it's not really happening. The next one, A, accept. So you're just accepting the circumstances as they are. Oftentimes we don't want to accept, right? We want to say, well, I can do this or I can do that. But you just accept it, but it doesn't mean that you don't do anything about it, okay? And then you verify. And all of this is a quick process of what's going on. And you are saying, okay, this is actually what's happening, not what's all going on inside of my brain, because you may create an entire forward flip in your head of what's happening, and that's not really what's happening. And then exhale. That's very, very important. Make sure you, as you're breathing, you're not just holding your breath, it's an in and out process too. And we always have access to our thoughts, and so that's why I focus on change your thoughts, change how you feel, change your life. Very, very important.
A big thank you to Dr. Michelle Lino for giving us some tips on keeping our mental health in check, and thank you to West Bloomfield Parks for putting on a great event. Reporting for the Splash Live, I'm Maddie Muschen. A big thanks again to West Bloomfield Parks and Dr. Michelle Lino for helping us all celebrate Black History Month and reminding us all to take care of our mental health this year. Later on, we'll be looking at the perfect place in West Bloomfield to practice martial arts. But before that, we'll be joined by Jennifer Tucker. She is the Executive Director at West Bloomfield Parks. All that and more after this short break.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine. To keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live. I'm your host, Maddie Muschen. It is now time to talk about what is going on at West Bloomfield Parks with the Executive Director at West Bloomfield Parks, Jennifer Tucker. We'll be talking about some of the open facilities in the spring and also what we get to look forward to coming up with the warmer weather ahead. Jennifer, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Maddie. How are you?
I'm doing great. Jennifer, let's talk a little bit about first your position at West Bloomfield Parks. What are some of your responsibilities as the Executive Director?
So as Executive Director, I oversee all operations of the park system, and I report directly to the elected board, which is the West Bloomfield Parks Commission. So it's a very interesting job. Every day is different, I will tell you that. So everything from grant writing to right down to special events, all of it is in my purview. So very exciting every day. Love my job. So
Jennifer, as we look at warmer weather, can you tell us a little bit about some of the facilities that will be opening up in the spring at West Bloomfield Parks?
Absolutely. So as we all know, unfortunately we have a little snow today, but soon we will be shutting those sled hills and opening up our summer facilities. What you can look forward to is after the ground thaws, and we get a little more weather, the restroom facilities will open up. We don't open those until the temperatures reach a less than freezing, for goodness sake. Also, the splash pad will be firing up again, opening on Memorial Day. And then also, I know we have so many trail users. Everyone loves the West Bloomfield Trail. And I just ask that they be a little patient. Every year in the spring, people start to get frustrated because the ground's still frozen and the water just seems to sit right on top. So I swear it will dry out. But unfortunately, Mother Nature doesn't always cooperate. And so you might get some muddy tennis shoes for a little while yet. So.
And Jennifer, in the winter, some of the residents might have noticed that the playgrounds are closed. Could you give us a little bit of background information into why you guys decided each winter to close those playgrounds?
Absolutely. So there's very strict regulations that govern playground safety. And we actually have on staff someone that monitors those playgrounds and makes sure that they're safe for our residents and patrons. What happens in the winter is the ground freezes and makes it hard, and so it doesn't have the same that safety surface that's under there is actually engineered to be able to withstand a fall from a child and kind of be less intense than normal. But what happens in the winter is that surface freezes, gets hard, and it no longer meets our safety standards. So that's why we actually close it. I know it sounds crazy but until I got into playground safety, I wouldn't realize that either. So, but that is the reason why we close those. We just want to make sure everyone is safe.
Jennifer, to keep everyone safe on those playgrounds, when will you guys think that you will open those in the springtime? When is the best temperature to make sure that everyone can play safely on those playgrounds?
Typically do is wait till those temperatures rise, but the real crux of it is when the frost is out of the ground. So again, playing by Mother Nature's rules, and as soon as we know that the frost is out, we will open those right back up.
And Jennifer, some of those West Bloomfield residents may have seen some coyotes around here in Michigan if they're looking in their backyards. I'm very careful because I have a small dog, so we're very hyper vigilant about those coyotes in our neighborhood. But it's currently coyote mating season. Can you tell us a little bit about right now how it's impacting their behavior and what residents should look out for?
Absolutely. So like I said, coyote mating season is January through March. And so like any species, they act a little more territorial or and just not quite, rational when the dating game is happening and in your backyard. So just like, but coyotes do play a role. They do play a role in the ecosystem. They are important part of that. Just as always, you want to never feed them. Always make sure that they aren't getting into your garbage. To basically keep them at arm's distance. Definitely make sure if you see them, loud sounds, you want to make sure that they continue to stay scared of you and to keep that distance. And you make a great point, Maddie, if you have small pets, make sure you keep them in your eyesight, so to make sure that they don't end up being prey. So, very good point.
Jennifer, you guys also sometimes get requests to either clear or groom the snow on the West Bloomfield trails. Can you discuss a little bit about why you guys maintain the trails the way you do, and if a resident has a request to clear the snow or maintain those trails, what you guys do to kind of ease those requests?
Absolutely. So the West Bloomfield Trail is actually it doesn't look like it, but it's a very engineered surface. So the surface is actually compacted in its different levels of different size stone, and made sure that it's compacted into a tight surface. We do this winter we've had a couple inquiries is to, hey, could you groom the trail. A couple issues that we have doing that is it is costly. In the last 5 years, and because we keep data, there's only been 75 days that would have been good enough to actually groom snow. And the other thing is there's so many different uses on the trail. Soon as you groom for, let's say, skiers, then dog walkers are in those trails, and there's nothing a cross-country skier hates more is when a beautiful trail is all cobbled up with feet prints. So, and there's so many uses, fat bike tires going through there, same kind of situation, a lot of different uses. It would be, and if we groomed all the snow off the trail, then the skiers couldn't use it. So there's a lot of things that kind of go into how we manage those facilities. So, but yeah, great question, Mandy. Thank you for asking.
Jennifer, as we wrap up here, is there anything else you want to share with the audience, either about the West Bloomfield Parks or something that we get to look forward to with the parks opening this spring?
Yeah, actually, this weekend, join us out at the Black Expo. It's going to be at Orchard Lake Mall, and we have a great turnout. We have a diversity task force which is in their second year, and they have put together a fantastic lineup of folks. So come out and visit us. It's going to be a fantastic event.
Well, thank you so much for sharing some information about the parks, Jennifer. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you, Manny. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Once again, I was joined by the Executive Director at West Bloomfield Parks, Jennifer Tucker, talking about some of those things that are going on in the parks and what we get to look forward to as the springtime comes. If you're looking for a fun and unique way to move your body and stay active, True Martial Arts in West Bloomfield has a variety of different classes and programs to teach you about martial arts and the history behind it. Splash reporter Brendan Schreiber took a look inside their studio and talked to one of their employees. Let's go take a look now.
If you've been looking to train your self-defense or have simply been wanting to attempt a new sport, look no further than True Martial Arts. Located in Orchard Mall, True Martial Arts has been in practice since 2009. We talked with Richard Dristy, one of their fellow instructors, and asked him about the school and what programs they offer.
So we've been here for the past 3-4 years, and we really try to focus on just creating awesome people, right? So we have programs for ages 4 to 74. Right, and each one of them kind of has their own different focus, right? So the 4 to 7-year-olds, we're really focusing on creating good habits and teaching them about coordination and kind of how to move their body in the martial art. And we use the martial arts tools and games to kind of do that, as well as focusing on the kind of character development where we're talking about good habits and self-discipline and kind of teaching them about those the moral side of martial arts, right? Because it's not only about self-defense. And then we have a program for our kind of 7 to 12-year-olds where we dive a little bit deeper into that martial arts and still really focus on the character development aspect of it, the focus, the discipline, all the things that are really going to help them become awesome people. And then with our adult program, we also focus even more on the self-defense aspect and kind of teaching them to be able to walk around confident that they could defend themselves in the event that they need to, and as well as still focusing on the character development, right? And we do that with a couple of different programs. So we have our main karate program that kind of services all those age groups. Then we also have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program that teaches you kind of what to do if you end up on the ground and how to defend yourself in that instance, as well as a Krav Maga program, which is all self-defense all the time. So that's really the class that you want to go to if you're really looking to defend yourself. And like I said, our goal here is really to just create an awesome community of people that are like-minded and want to work together to become not only better martial artists, but better people.
During our interview, we also asked what COVID precautions have been implemented.
martial arts, as you know, is a very close contact sport, right? So we had to adjust from social distancing in classes to masking to temperature checks to things like that, right? So we really do our best to stay up to date with everything that's coming out from the CDC and trying to create the safest environment for our students and members to train in.
For all things martial arts, check out True Martial Arts at Orchard Mall. Reporting for The Splash, I'm Brendan Schreib.
Thank you to Richard Dristy for telling us all of the cool programs and classes that they have at True Martial Arts in West Bloomfield. If you are interested in taking a class or a program there, you can contact them at truemartialarts.com. We are now going to be joined by Township Clerk for West Bloomfield, Debbie Binder, to talk about some of the important things that voters need to know for the upcoming voter registration deadline. Debbie, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me today.
Debbie, could you first start off by telling our viewers a little bit about your role as a Township Clerk here in West Bloomfield?
Okay, as a Township Clerk, the job is actually very big, but the one part that's definitely known to everybody is that by statute, state statute, I conduct the elections for the township so that everybody gets a chance to have their voice heard. That's probably one of the biggest parts of my job. But I also set the agenda for the township board meetings, to procure the information, do the follow-up. I'm what's called the MMRMA rep. I handle the insurance for the township. I'm the representative for the township's insurance agency. I'm the FOIA coordinator, the Freedom of Information Act coordinator. Clerk's office is kind of the hub for anybody that first comes to the township. Oftentimes they'll come through the clerk's office. That if we don't have the answer ourselves, we're able to send them where they need to go to get the correct answer.
Debbie, with the proposed redistricting in Michigan, could you give us some insight and talk a little bit about, if those plans go into motion now, how that would impact West Bloomfield and the districts surrounding the area?
Okay, so the redistricting plans are supposed to be done by April 4th. We are in the process. The state has done their part of implementing the plans. The county is working on it. There are legal challenges that we don't have, where that stands yet. But all anticipation is that we will have that by April 4th. It is a statutory deadline. Any changes created by redistricting, every single voter in West Bloomfield Township will receive a new voter ID card after April 4th. So I would encourage our residents to watch their mailboxes around that time, looking for that new voter ID card. Most of the changes that we anticipate right now is we have in our redistricting, if anything, has probably simplified the township. We've become a community of interest, and it's actually become fewer districts. But most of the changes we are going to experience have to do with a statute that says no precinct may have more than 2,999 active voters. And we have a few precincts that one was above that number and two were very close to that number. So we did have to create a 26th precinct. We have 25, we now have 26 precincts. So some people will move their precinct, but we took great care to do it as, it was like a puzzle to put together. But the majority of people who will have a change of precinct will not have a change of polling location. So even if they end up finding that they got in their line of their old precinct, they're going to be told, well, you just have to go over there. You're in the same building. We do have a couple that were one precinct that was so large that they will be moving from there's a group of the population that will be moving from the library over to Temple Israel for voting. But again, the majority and the vast majority, if they did switch precinct, they will be staying in their same polling location. We'll simplify things a lot.
Debbie, with those voters for the future elections and their new voter ID cards, could you give us a couple examples of some of the different precincts and different polling locations that people in West Bloomfield will be getting on those new voter ID cards?
The polling locations won't change. So where we will have our same, 25, we had 18 polling locations, or 18 or 19, I'm forgetting. But with the polling locations will stay the same. It's just how the precincts break up in terms of where they go. Most are, the changes are simple geographics. An example, to accommodate being under that 2,999, we took two precincts that shared a building and said, okay, some of the ones that are in the larger precinct, if we move them to the smaller precinct, can we get sufficiently below that number? So that is mostly what happened, that a larger precinct was split into that smaller precinct so that we could keep those numbers below, keep their polling locations the same.
And Debbie, if someone in the township is either not registered or wants to know if they are registered, how can they go about doing that and finding that information?
All right, well, there's always a call to the clerk's office, and we welcome talking to anybody, but if, 24/7, if you want that kind of access, if you go to michigan.gov/vote, it's called the Michigan Voter Information Center, and you can get a lot of information there. You're able to register to vote, you're able to get your sample ballot, you're able to check what your districts are. There's a lot of information that you can obtain going to that Michigan Voter Information Center. So also, like I said, a good place to register to vote, place to request an absentee ballot. One thing that's always good to remind people, a lot of people think if they're on what we call the permanent voter, absent voter application list, that they always get an absentee ballot. That means they don't automatically get an absentee ballot. They automatically get an absentee ballot application. They don't receive a ballot unless we receive that application back with a signature matched, signature. So it's important that people know, if you fill it out one year, you're not getting your ballot the next year. The only people that's different is our military and overseas voters. They are able to fill out an application out for the whole year, but everybody else has to fill it out for each election or election cycle, meaning a primary and a general. Then they'll have a choice to select both elections to request an absentee ballot. But other than that, they do have to do it each election. So it's important to keep that in mind. Being on that permanent absent voter application list does not mean you automatically get a ballot. But if you do desire to get an application every election, all you have to do is call the office and we'll add you to that list, or you can also do that at the Michigan Voter Information Center.
Yes, very important information for those voters looking to get those absentee ballots. And Debbie, with voting and those ballots and counting the ballots, you need election workers and election workers to work at those precincts. Can you tell us a little bit of information if someone was looking to either apply for those election worker jobs, how they can do so, and what's the training behind that?
Okay, it's a great opportunity for people who need something for their college apps or their resume. It's a phenomenal opportunity to do that, to be an election worker. But even if that's not what you need, a lot of people just find it an extremely rewarding experience. It is a paid position, but per hour it's not paid very well. People do it because they really know that they're giving back to the community and they feel like they're part of something big. We take applications here. We have an application. It is available on our website, or somebody could call our office and we would email them the application. You apply to be an election inspector, what's called an election inspector. And we were very fortunate in 2020 that we were able, with great effort in recruiting and a lot of support from you guys, we were able to get secure 300 newly recruited election workers. But we don't know what our retention rate will be, so we do always need to have a new group of people coming in. It's a commitment to either work in a precinct or to work in the absent voter counting board. We do give people the choice. There's different, pluses and minuses as far as people working that they have to be concerned about. If somebody's in the AV counting board, they're not able to have their phone or communicate outside of that AV counting board. They're a sequestered board for that day. So if somebody has to take a call or answer to young children, it may not be the best placement for them. But for somebody who's looking for an opportunity to get involved and maybe be a little more sedentary, it is a little more sedentary working in the AV counting board. We're working in the precinct is not. So what I would say, if someone's thinking about it, you will definitely have the training. It's 1 to 2 hours, or 1 or 2 2-hour training sessions, depending on which position you're going to take. But you are well trained, and I would kind of give you some guidance on which might be the better choice. So get in touch with the clerk's office. You can also apply through the Voter Information Center. They took a great effort also to help recruit at the local level by reaching out at the state level.
Well, Debbie, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Maddie.
Once again, I was joined by the Township Clerk for West Bloomfield, Debbie Binder. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you to all of our guests for joining us today, as well as you for tuning in to catch up on what's going on in our greater West Bloomfield community. You watch us live at 9:30 every morning on Civic Center TV, on AT&T Channel 99, and Comcast Channel 15. For all of our friends in Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, Kiko Harbor, and West Bloomfield, I'm Maddie Muschin. Thank you for watching The Splash Live.